Have you ever wondered who's fighting the spiritual battles you don't even know are happening? What if I told you there's a supreme leader, Archangel Michael, leading a heavenly army, making sure evil never has the last word? In this video, you're going to uncover the story of this celestial warrior, his role in the end times, and how his mission might directly impact your life. If you're looking to understand more about the invisible forces shaping the world around you, and how they might influence your choices in your future, you're in the right place. Ready to learn how Archangel Michael could be the key to understanding the battles you face every day? Stick with me till the end, and get ready for a mind-blowing journey. Michael is, without a doubt, one of the most revered figures in sacred texts. He's known as the Archangel who leads the heavenly army, and stands as one of the most powerful beings in the divine realm. His name, which means, "who is like God," already carries a deep mystery about his identity and role. Since ancient times, Michael has been seen as a defender of divine justice, always ready to step in for the greater good. His presence in the Bible is powerful and inspiring, especially due to his unwavering loyalty to God. Michael's significance in heaven goes beyond his position of authority. He's a living example of absolute faith and ultimate duty. As an archangel, he stands above other celestial beings, directly responsible for major interventions at the most critical moments in spiritual history. The fact that his name is a question, who is like God? Michael isn't just a symbolic figure, but a being with practical responsibilities in the heavenly plan. He's seen as the guardian of Israel, the protector of the faithful, and the great warrior standing between good and evil. His role goes beyond the celestial hierarchy. He's a warrior who takes the front lines in the most intense battles against the forces of evil. In Scripture, he's often described as standing firm against any adversary, never straying from his sacred mission. Moreover, Michael's relationship with God is intimate and deeply aligned with the divine mission. He's portrayed as the archangel who reflects God's glory and authority, but without ever overstepping. Michael doesn't act on his own, but always as a faithful emissary of God's will. His strength comes directly from his role as the defender of justice and the executor of God's will, making him a unique figure in the biblical context. And yet he remains humble, always showing reverence to a higher authority. His role is not just about command, but also about inspiring those who seek to follow the path of goodness. Michael is, in many ways, the prototype of a spiritual warrior, someone who fights for the noblest causes and for the protection of God's people. This image of protector and defender is one of the reasons he is so respected and called upon in times of danger or uncertainty. Michael's power is not just brute force, but a representation of divine justice that cannot be defeated. When you think of Michael, it's impossible not to imagine the battle between good and evil that runs through the biblical narrative. He's the defender of those who have faith, the guardian of those who sincerely seek God. In the Bible, he's often called to intervene in moments of great need, whether it's to defend Israel or to protect the faithful from evil forces. His presence guarantees that evil will never triumph completely, as long as there are those under his protection. This leads to the big question: how does Michael play his role as leader of the heavenly armies in a direct confrontation with evil? After all, his image isn't just one of a defender, but a true commander in the spiritual battles that shape the universe's fate. When we think of Michael, the image that comes to mind is that of a fearless commander leading a heavenly army. He's not just a warrior, but the supreme leader of the divine hosts. His role is clear: to protect God's kingdom and defeat the forces of evil, especially in the final battles described in Revelation. As the commander of the heavenly armies, Michael wields unmatched authority, leading beings of light in direct combat against the forces of darkness, with an unshakable sense of purpose. The biblical narrative places him as the primary military figure in spiritual wars. In Revelation 12:7-9, he's described as leading the charge against Satan and his fallen angels. This epic confrontation is not just symbolic, it represents the ongoing struggle between good and evil, unfolding both in heaven and on earth. Michael stands as the tireless defender, one who doesn't back down from any threat but advances with determination, ensuring the victory of good. Michael's power as a leader isn't just in his strength, but also in his ability to inspire those he leads. Under his command, the heavenly armies march with confidence and zeal, knowing they're on the side of justice. He's the kind of leader who embodies sacrifice and duty, guiding his warriors with divine wisdom. There's no hesitation in his movements because Michael knows the final victory has already been decreed in the heavenly realms. His unwavering faith is what moves the heavens in his favor. It's also worth noting that Michael acts as a protector, in addition to being a commander. He doesn't just lead the troops, he fights alongside them. This stance reinforces his importance in the divine plan, as he doesn't shy away from combat. He's there, on the front lines, fighting alongside the angels to maintain the balance between light and darkness. His power comes from a divine source, but his presence among the angels ensures the unity and strength needed to win the most challenging spiritual battles. Another fascinating aspect of Michael is his ability to maintain order among the armies. He doesn't allow chaos to overtake his troops, even in the face of formidable enemies. This shows the level of control he has over the forces he commands. Satan and his followers may try to subvert the established order, but Michael is always one step ahead, ensuring that justice prevails. The battle may be fierce, but under Michael's leadership, divine order is always restored. Finally, his leadership isn't just about brute force but strategy. Michael understands the right moment to attack, the precise instant to mobilize his troops, and the critical point when victory is achieved. This sets him apart from other spiritual leaders because he doesn't act solely through strength but through divine intelligence. He's the perfect example of how the combination of wisdom and power can be devastating for those who oppose God's plan. His leadership in every sense is a direct extension of divine will. And so, when we observe Michael in his role as leader of the heavenly armies, we can't help but wonder, what happens when he comes face to face with his oldest enemy, Satan? The battle between them is one of the most intense ever described in sacred texts. The battle between Michael and Satan is, without a doubt, one of the most intense moments in the biblical narrative. Described in Revelation 12:7-9, this celestial war symbolizes the final confrontation between good and evil, where Michael leads the heavenly armies against Satan and his fallen angels. This isn't just any conflict. It's a cosmic battle of unimaginable proportions. Michael, as the defender of divine justice, stands firmly against the one who tried to overthrow the order established by God, showing that evil will never prevail. The figure of Satan, once an angel of light, now takes on the role of adversary, and it's in this context that Michael shines. He doesn't hesitate to confront Lucifer, the rebel who dared to challenge divine sovereignty. The war that unfolds in heaven is not only physical, but also spiritual. Michael, with his sword of justice, leads an assault that symbolizes the triumph of good over evil, light over darkness. The confrontation between them is the culmination of an ancient rebellion, and as always, Michael remains unwavering. It's interesting to note that Michael doesn't act alone. He leads an army of angels, beings of light who are determined to protect the divine plan. This moment of combat is more than a battle. It's the reaffirmation of celestial order, where good rises against any attempt to corrupt creation. Satan, with all his cunning and power, is no match for the justice embodied by Michael. The victory is not just expected but guaranteed, for Michael acts in the name of God. The result of this confrontation is clear. Satan and his angels are defeated and cast out of heaven. The fall of Lucifer is both physical and symbolic. He is thrown to earth, where he continues his fight, but now without the power and glory he once possessed. Michael, on the other hand, reinforces his position as heaven's great defender, the warrior who never backs down in the face of evil. This battle is a reminder that, although evil may try to rise, divine justice will always prevail. Michael's victory over Satan has profound implications for all of creation. This moment is not just about the expulsion of rebellious beings, but a restoration of divine order. The celestial battle is a microcosm of the struggle between good and evil that unfolds at every level of existence. More importantly, it demonstrates that good, when allied with justice and truth, is invincible. Michael becomes not just the victor of this battle, but the eternal guardian of heavenly peace. However, this victory doesn't mean the battle is completely over. The war against evil continues, and Michael is always vigilant. He knows that Satan will still try to corrupt humanity and distort the divine plan. But Michael, with his strength and determination, is always ready to confront him again. This eternal vigilance is what makes him such a powerful figure, always prepared to step in during times of need. And this leads us to a fascinating question. How does Michael take on the role of protector of Israel? What makes him directly involved in defending God's chosen people? Michael is not just the leader of the heavenly armies, but also the defender of the people of Israel. At critical moments in history, he steps forward as the guardian appointed by God to protect the chosen nation. In the book of Daniel, Michael is mentioned in two key moments, Daniel 10:21 and 12:1, where he assumes the role of protector in the face of the tribulations Israel faces. His mission is clear, to defend God's people in times of crisis and ensure that the divine plan continues, no matter the adversities. Michael's role as a defender goes beyond simple military intervention. He is seen as the one who rises on behalf of Israel in times of greatest need. In Daniel 12:1, for example, it is prophesied that Michael will stand up in a time of distress, a period of great tribulation for the people of Israel. His presence is a symbol of hope, a guarantee that despite the difficulties, Israel will be protected and guided. This role reinforces the image of Michael as a tireless defender who never abandons those under his protection. It's interesting how Michael is often depicted in contexts of conflict and danger. He doesn't appear in times of peace, but rather in moments when the nation of Israel faces great threats. This highlights his role as a divine warrior, always ready to intervene when evil tries to rise. He is the shield that protects Israel from both spiritual and physical enemies, ensuring that God's plan for the nation unfolds according to his will. Moreover, Michael's role as the defender of Israel has deep spiritual implications. He is not just protecting a physical nation, but also the spiritual purpose of Israel in God's plan. Israel is often seen as the center of biblical prophecy, and Michael, as its protector, plays a crucial role in maintaining this purpose. His presence is a reminder that God never abandons his people and always sends his most powerful messengers to defend them in times of need. Michael also stands out for his unwavering loyalty to God and the mission entrusted to him. He doesn't question his role as the defender of Israel, but accepts this responsibility with firmness and determination. This reflects his total trust in God's justice and the divine plan for Israel. His stance is an example of how God's servants should act, with unshakable faith, always ready to fight for righteous causes, without hesitation or doubt about the final victory. However, Michael's role as the defender of Israel isn't limited to the past. Prophecies indicate that he will play a crucial role in future events, especially concerning the end times. He will continue to protect Israel until the very end, ensuring that God's purpose for his people is fulfilled. This prophetic vision places Michael as a central figure not only in Israel's history but also in the final destiny of humanity. But what about his appearance in the New Testament? In Jude 1:9, we find an intriguing episode where Michael faces the devil once again, but in an unexpected and deeply meaningful way. In the New Testament, Michael appears in a curious and deeply significant episode in the Epistle of Jude, specifically in Jude 1:9. Here we see the Archangel in a direct dispute with the devil over the body of Moses. This brief account carries profound spiritual depth, showing Michael in a posture of respect and submission to divine authority, even while facing Satan. The fact that Michael doesn't pronounce a direct accusation against the devil, but instead says, "The Lord rebuke you," teaches us a lot about humility and the importance of acknowledging God's authority. This episode is often seen as a lesson on how to deal with evil. Michael, despite his position of power and his ability to defeat the devil, chooses to leave the judgment in God's hands. This is a sign of reverence for divine justice and a demonstration of how even the most powerful beings in heaven submit to God's will. Michael's humility in letting God be the judge reveals absolute trust in divine justice and its ability to deal with evil definitively. The dispute over Moses' body also raises interesting questions. Why was Moses' body so important that it became the subject of a spiritual dispute? Some scholars suggest that the devil wanted to use Moses' body to lead Israel astray, perhaps turning it into an object of idolatry. Michael, as the defender of justice and divine order, steps in to ensure Satan's plans are thwarted. This moment reveals Michael's constant vigilance, always ready to intervene when necessary. Moreover, this passage from Jude 1:9 shows us a side of Michael that's often overlooked: his humility. Even as the commander of the heavenly armies, he understands that he should not act on his own or out of pride. He recognizes that judgment belongs to God and that his role is to obey and follow divine directions. This episode reflects the true essence of a servant of God, powerful but fully submissive to divine authority. Another fascinating point is how Michael handles the confrontation with the devil. Instead of engaging in a battle of insults or trying to prove his superiority, he simply trusts God to handle the situation. This is a powerful reminder that, in many situations, the best response to evil isn't aggression, but trust in divine justice and power. Michael teaches us that true strength lies in knowing when to step back and let God take control. And of course, this passage also gives us insight into the nature of spiritual battles. These battles aren't always fought with swords or violent confrontations. Sometimes they are battles of submission, where the real test is in following God's will above all. Michael, with his humility and trust in God, shows us that victory over evil can be achieved in ways that aren't always obvious. But what about Michael in apocryphal literature and Jewish traditions? How is he portrayed in these ancient texts, and what can they reveal about his character? Michael also holds a notable role outside the canonical texts of the Bible, particularly in apocryphal literature and Jewish traditions. He appears, for instance, in the Book of Enoch, where he's described as one of the 4 principal archangels, serving as a mediator between God and humanity. In this context, he's not just the defender of Israel, but also the angel who delivers God's messages and intervenes in moments of crisis. The vision the Apocrypha gives us of Michael is of a being deeply involved in earthly matters, which further amplifies his importance in the divine plan. In the Book of Enoch, Michael is also highlighted for his ongoing fight against the fallen angels, the Nephilim. This war, described in detail, shows Michael as the main combatant in defense of divine order against those who tried to subvert God's plan. His strength and determination are emphasized even more intensely in these texts, making him appear as the great spiritual warrior. The idea that he is the tireless defender of both heaven and earth is reinforced by the battles he fights in these accounts. Beyond the Book of Enoch, Jewish traditions, especially in the Midrash, offer additional insights into Michael. In many of these stories, he is portrayed as the angel protector of Israel, but also as one who intercedes on behalf of humanity before God. In some narratives, he is seen as a celestial advocate, one who pleads for God's people, particularly when they are being judged. This adds an interesting layer to his character, revealing that Michael isn't just a warrior but also a compassionate defender, concerned with the well-being of human beings. In Jewish traditions, Michael's relationship with other archangels is also emphasized. He's often depicted alongside Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, forming a quartet that plays essential roles in the workings of the cosmos and the fulfillment of God's plan. Each archangel has a specific function, and Michael, with his strength and authority, takes on the responsibility of facing the greatest spiritual challenges. The relationship between these archangels creates an interesting dynamic, where each one contributes to the harmony of the celestial plan. Another interesting point in apocryphal literature and Jewish traditions is how Michael is sometimes seen as the angel of death in certain stories. In some texts, he's tasked with guiding the souls of the righteous to paradise, while in others, He opposes the angel of death to ensure the salvation of the faithful. This places him in a dual role, both as a defender and as a guide, reflecting the complexity of his mission in the spiritual universe. He is both a fierce warrior and a compassionate guardian of souls. These texts and traditions show us that the figure of Michael is even richer and more multifaceted than what is portrayed in the canonical Bible. He is a being of vast power, but also of great responsibility, and his mission extends far beyond simply defending Israel. His role as mediator, protector, and warrior is highlighted in unique ways in apocryphal literature, offering a more complete view of who he is. These stories remind us that Michael, in all his forms, always acts on behalf of justice and God's will. And speaking of justice, what will Michael's prophetic role be in the end times? How does he prepare for the final battle against the forces of evil? And what does that mean for the fate of humanity? When we talk about the end times, Michael's role becomes even more significant. He's not just the commander of the heavenly armies, but also the prophetic leader in the final battle against the forces of evil. The book of Revelation makes it clear that Michael will be a central figure in the ultimate showdown between good and evil. His mission? To ensure that God's plan is fulfilled by defeating Satan and his legions once and for all. This battle isn't just symbolic, it's the moment when the fate of humanity will be sealed. In the apocalyptic vision, Michael leads God's armies in a war that spans heaven and earth. He represents divine justice in its purest form, fighting against the forces that seek to destroy creation. His leadership is crucial to the unfolding of this final battle, and he is the one who ensures that evil is defeated, allowing God's kingdom to be established definitively. Michael's figure here is not just that of a warrior, but of an executor of divine judgment, the one who will restore order and peace to the universe. Michael's role in the end times isn't limited to physical battle. He's also a symbol of hope and protection for the faithful. In Daniel 12:1, it's prophesied that Michael will rise during a time of great distress, when there will be tribulations like never before. He will be the defender of God's people, ensuring that those whose names are written in the book of life will be saved. This reinforces his position not only as a military leader, but as a spiritual guardian, always attentive to the needs of the faithful during the darkest times. Moreover, the final battle between Michael and Satan is seen as the culmination of a conflict that began millennia ago. Since Lucifer's fall, Michael has been the defender of the forces of good, and the end times mark the moment when this fight reaches its climax. He leads the celestial forces with the certainty of victory, for his unshakable faith in God and his divine authority ensure that evil will never have the last word. The battle may be intense, but the victory has already been decreed in the heavens. Michael's prophetic role also reveals something about the character of God. Through Michael, we see that God never abandons his people, even in the darkest moments. He sends his most powerful commander to ensure that good prevails and that evil is completely eradicated. This final confrontation, where Michael stands out, is a reaffirmation of divine justice and the protection God offers to his faithful. It is the guarantee that in the end, light always triumphs over darkness. Finally, Michael's involvement in the end times serves as a reminder that the battle between good and evil is real, and each of us has a role to play. Michael shows us that with faith, courage, and determination, we can overcome any obstacle, whether physical or spiritual. He is living proof that when we fight for justice and truth, we never fight alone. At his side are the heavenly armies ready to step in when evil tries to take over. After everything you've learned about Archangel Michael and his epic battles, what will you do with this knowledge? Think about how these teachings could apply to your own life. If Archangel Michael, the defender of good, is fighting for the divine plan, shouldn't you also be fighting for the things that matter? Whether you're facing spiritual, emotional, or physical challenges, knowing there's an invisible battle happening can completely change how you see your own struggles. And now the question remains, are you ready to live with more awareness, knowing that powerful forces are on your side? If this idea intrigued you, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you'll keep learning about topics that can transform your life and give you the strength to face challenges head-on. And before you go, let us know in the comments, what battle do you feel you're fighting today? Let's keep this conversation going. And since we're talking about power and justice, did you know the Bible also talks about kings who use their power for evil? In the next video, you'll discover who the 4 most wicked kings of the Bible were. Get ready because their stories will shock you.